Okay, it's gonna be a short video, and it's when is it the best time to collect video games? Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, whatever era that Obviously, we're in the era of PS4, PS5, Nintendo Switch era. Xbox One, if I'm correct. The best. Um, if you go back and look at any old YouTube videos that talk about rare games, you'll hear a reoccurrence of that they came out towards the end of the system cycle. And at around that time, less and less people are purchasing them objects. So this is the time to like collect Nintendo Switch games. This is the time to collect PS4 games. For my behalf, I buy right now at the moment. I was originally buying more PlayStation. I still collect retro PlayStation stuff, but I collect more at the moment Nintendo Switch. And from a lot of the news that's coming out on the internet, we are transitioning from the Nintendo Switch to another console eventually, and that is exactly like the statement I'm saying about collecting at the end of a cycle. There will be certain things that will be published that only a certain amount of thousands of people will have a physical copy to, out of millions of people who have the system. Over 100 million people have this console at the moment, and only going to be thousands, but so many thousands of copies, like floating on the internet later down the line for you to be able to buy. Hence, very expensive games. So, um, between the Nintendo Switch and the PS4 era, I would dramatically say, you should stay on top of the things that are being released. It's already been released, and start collecting them now, as well as keep a lookout for what is the very last of the things that's about to come out. There's a couple gems that's out right now as we speak, for one, and then that will be coming out eventually for two. That for my behalf, I'm buying like 10 copies plus. Um, it's great materials that's going to be at a very reasonable price. Um, a lot of the expensive games for the PS4 and PS and Switch era, a lot of the expensive games in this coming future, y'all, aren't going to be the AAA titles for $60. A lot of people are collecting those AAA titles right now for like future value, but I would say like if you was collecting Nintendo Switch wise, you were best off for the AAA titles getting the very first prints. And then remember later down the line that you're going to be competing with a lot of other people into the thousands who bought that print. But now, if you go and collect these other kind of games I'm referring, as in the $36 range, it's gonna be the ones that cost some money as well. So for me, that is my one hint to the viewers here about like if you're looking for what kind of games to go look for, it's a lot of these retro type games that they're printing in modern day for the PS4 as well as the Nintendo Switch around the $36 range, and I would highly advise to look into those games and collect them now. Those are going to be the expensive games between those two consoles in this coming future. Um, and we're coming to an end of a cycle. We're coming to an end of a cycle, and let's look. To me, I see it could be good outcomes of more better products between the PS5 as well as whatever the next Nintendo system may be. But I'm heavy into collecting this Switch era right now for the opportunities that were given, and I'd rather do that now than to come to find out we're dealing with more digital. products when it comes to the publishing of more games. Like example, what happened with the Unity engine just recently, and how that might affect developers in this coming future. That could apply to the Unreal Engine. That could apply to a lot of other developing softwares where people might have to band together more just to develop these kind of cool objects for people to maybe physically have. To me, I also say that in the future of less physical objects, people will be still more independently producing homebrew. So that's another opinion. I'm gonna say it's not a factual statement, but I would definitely say collect PS4 now, collect Nintendo Switch now. Um, a lot of these good games that's around right now are not gonna be for long, and like even for my behalf as a collector, I'm not looking to sell those objects for a couple of years from now if it comes to selling anything for my collection. But this is a great pocket to collect right now. This is a great pocket. It's like a 30th anniversary pocket objects. I hope could carry over for a little while longer of more things being published. But if not, I'm still satisfied with what happened right now over these past 2 years, maybe to say, or 3 years. Um, Go buy a copy of Wild Guns Reloaded, Pocky Rocky Reshrined, Ninja Saviors. Um, what came out recently? I hope Limited Run puts out the again a print of the Castlevania GBA collection, because I don't really like ordering from Limited Run Fizz, like that actual website. I'd rather get it like off of Amazon or other places if they can have it. So I hope Konami puts that game out. I would like to get a couple copies of that. That's another game. Any Castlevania collection that comes out is gonna be of a little bit of good value. There's a lot of games out right now that will be in the hundreds in the coming future, and they're cheap games. They're cheap games to buy right now. Um, Collect physical. Collect physical. There's still a lot of good stuff on eBay and other websites, or even maybe flea markets in whatever state that you're in, that you can get for a good deal, $6, $15 maybe, and those objects will gain value over the years as well. People are going to be, as they say, renting games in this coming future. If that's what you want to do, I remember when I was a kid doing that. Like, I wish I was collecting from the age of a kid, maybe to say. But to the people and thank you for any even my one viewer. I've only been collecting for like 3 years, so I was to feel you say they left me all alone. Nah, I'm just playing. Um, Your average consumer, when it comes to all generations of game systems, I feel like they had mostly 5 to 10 games. So, like in modern day, Fortnite, Call of Duty, Mario Kart, Smash Bros. Like th- that would be through that whole generation of maybe 5 years or whatever it is of playing. A lot of people do not collect and buy all the other things that are published for these systems, unfortunately. And over time, when they become forgotten objects, they go up. Um, Yo, this is like like the dude who is telling people about Bitcoin for $1 or 50 cents. This is an era right here. This is a great era to obtain physical objects between the Nintendo Switch and the PS4 era. It's very. I'll show physical objects. It, so I got some mail stuff from the other day from Amazon. Um, just give it a second, please. Okay, I got some more stuff. And more stuff. And more stuff. All right. We'll just mess around with that. So, all right, boom. So, yeah, average consumer um who doesn't know how to get games on clearance on sales. Um, Amazon just had. I think they might still have a great sale for this for $10. Buy two for 20, and I think each one of these averagely go for like $30 right now. So this is like a Metroidvania kind of game. So I bought like maybe 8 copies or more of them. So that $80. I buy in stacks. Um, like I might have 20 copies of Pocket Rocket Restaurant. So this is what I mean about collecting video games. These are all sealed copies. So these was on sale just recently on Amazon, and this is all Pocket Rocket Restaurants, part 1 and 2 for the Super Nintendo, for the GBA. All three of them is none of them is cheap games. So this is basically in the era I'm in right now, and I never did this growing up. Like I did this now as an adult. Um, this is how I make my investments. So I'm into Metroid and Castlevania kind of games. This is considered like a Metroidvania kind of game. Damn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I got 10 of these. I got 10 of these muffs, but I gotta return one or whatever because I didn't like the condition of the case. But the example of what I'm saying about collecting Nintendo Switch games is that these things is gonna have some good value later down the line, and it's great prices that you could come across to obtain these kind of games. So your average consumer or customer doesn't really purchase in stacks and whatnot. And if anybody's curious about it, if you like Metroid or Metroidvania games, they got this on sale on Amazon for two for 20 right now. So that's $10 for a Nintendo Switch game. Who could beat that? And then these was on sale too for like a great price on Amazon just recently. So I bought another stack of them just recently. Just 1 second, please. So like eBay example for like PS1 era games. I bought 2 copies for like maybe $9 for the PS1. So I try to go after anything 2 disc and up games from this era. I try if I could get them under $10, I'll go after it. I'll go get it. So that's a 5 disc game. So I thought that's a good amount of CGI graphics data on 5 discs for the PS1. eBay, Devil May Cry, the special editions for the greatest hits. So the greatest hits basically for all eras of PlayStation, any greatest hits for PlayStation and GameCube, this is the complete data that was like maybe ever missing from like the original printing. Anything that they wanted to add to make the game better, that was put that any greatest hits game. That's why they put them out. So this is another one I wound up grabbing. I think for $7, something like that for both of them. I bought like two of both of these for the Omniashas. I never even grew up really playing these games, to be honest with you. I grew up playing some cool games, I feel, in a way, but I didn't have a lot of video games growing up like that. I had some cool games. I had Resident Evil 1 when it first came out. I had Project Justice for the Dreamcast. Sonic Adventures. I had some games, but I didn't have like how I'm showing right now at this moment, these kind of like sealed games. And like I got a couple hundred games. Xbox, between Xbox and Xbox 360, I'm not too much of an Xbox collector, but there is a couple good gems for those systems that you can get for under $10, $15. So I wanted to purchase in 1 or 2 of them recently. Blinks Part 1 and 2. That I consider it a decent looking game. So it was under $10. I think both of them. One of them might have been 12. But yeah, this is the time to start collecting Nintendo Switch and PS4. There's a lot of good games out that the only way you're gonna really obtain is from like eBay, Amazon, physical sellers, not from the actual businesses, because they're gonna be out of stock, print, or out of print, whatever way they want to explain that behalf of when it comes to still buying the games. Like back in the day, maybe it'll be like 5 years or 10 years, let's say, to come across in them stores or in other home mom and pop stores. You can still buy a physical copy of these games for very cheap. But I don't know when it started. It changed. It changed that I don't see that as much anymore. And when I do see it, I consider that something special. On top of if it could be for a reasonable price, I consider that very special to me because it's it's not really supposed to be around in stores anymore. Objects from 20 years ago and up. Maybe the most is really a year, to be honest. Objects is probably supposed to stay around in stores. Stores can't really keep the same game in their store past a year. And then you got to keep putting out another 30, another 40 in your store, on your store display. You, your whole place would be hoarded. So this is the time to collect. This is the time to collect. Because once, I know for a fact, okay, once GameStop says sold out, which they, if I'm correct, they are sold out of these. GameStop is actually out of the other websites. They're selling out faster with the objects. So GameStop is a warning that a game is disappearing. Amazon is a warning that if a game is disappearing from major consumer stores. Best Buy is a warning that to you if a game is disappearing from major consumer stores. That's how I would say to anybody, if you want to be a collector of games, like see a game that came out and it's at all these stores, and how long did it last at these stores? Was it there for a year? Was it there for 6 months, 3 months? There's certain games I've seen that disappeared in 2 weeks to a month when they came out. Um, it's a couple games. It's a couple games, and I would say for myself, I would have been very disappointed if I would have missed out on that. I would have been highly disappointed to miss out on that on this object right here. That you crazy? You crazy? And if anybody knows about what's up with the Super Nintendo era and this object, if anyone knows Super Nintendo era, this object right here, then you know the same thing that'll follow suit with the fourth object. It's simple. It's simple. Um, Eventually, which I think is interesting too, how long of a pocket era that they gave for people to still obtain the Silent Hills for the PS3. There's still like maybe one or two of them you can still get under $20. Um, the Metal Gear Legacy collection a couple months ago, if not a year or more ago, you could have got under I think 30 to $20. And now we're about to get a new one for the I think the I was gonna call it the N64 for the Nintendo Switch and the PS4 or whatever, or the PS5. So these things be around. These things is a lot of good games and good objects. Collect arcade collection games from the PS2 era. There's genuine games on that one disc that are worth $100 and up a piece. The Capcom Classics, Part Two for the PS2. That got well over 5 to maybe 7 games on it. That I would say is that CD is worth a couple $100. In Japan, I think it's still cheap. I don't know, but the games physically on that disc are not cheap games. People will be paying for those for the rest of their days, y'all, if they want to play that game. Which I think it will come a time where people maybe won't basically play that game. Actually, too, to say there will come a time. It's the same thing like what's going on with music, and like let's say the hip hop industry back in the '90s. Let's say when the music might have been another form of derogatory language. It doesn't fit into a lot of environments of businesses to promote in modern day. So that could also apply to retro games where they don't fit into the narrative of what's going on in this modern decade. This is the only kind of objects we want to put out. So over time, that's all you're gonna get in our whole decade era. If this is all they want to put out as type of games and type of imagery, there's tons of games. If you ever look up on any YouTube videos that, let's say in Japan, the original print, it was this kind of stuff going on, and then when it came to America, you had they requested to change A, B, C, and D, even up to the cover art, characters. It could be all sorts of craziness that they'll have you rechange because maybe at that moment back in the 90s, early 2000s, it doesn't fit the narrative of what we want to expose to the public in our country. Manhunt, I think 1 and 2 was banned in a couple countries. So that we would like to have your game system in our country, but these are the only specific games we would like for you to like. We're gonna review. Oh no, this can't come over here. Banned. So um Nintendo has never really put out these kind of games before that's coming out on their systems. That's another thing I would say would be highly collector's items. Postal Redux, I think will be a collector's item. There's some adult kind of manner games on this coming out on the system or already been out on the system that it's amazing that we got that in this era. Um I feel like maybe I'm gonna wrap it up here, and um I hope that this could have maybe been some good information to anybody who's viewing this at this moment. And thank you for your time. Have a good day. Peace out.